Shimano or Daiwa? This argument has been going on since basically the dawn of man back in the caveman days about people deciding who makes a better reel overall. And obviously Shimano and Daiwa, they've been around forever. They've made some of the best reels on the market and they still are making the best reels on the market. So today we're going to be going over what I think is Shimano's best reel that they've ever made, at least up to date, which is now in 2024, and that is this guy here. This is the Shimano 2023 Antares DC Monster Drive. An absolute beautiful reel, and we're going to get right into today's video. The Shimano Antares DC Monster Drive. This reel is an absolute workhorse. I got this reel earlier this year while I was actually in Japan, and I had wanted the new version because, well, I had the original 2018 model, and I absolutely love this reel. This reel still holds up really well. Still super smooth. The casting's still really good. But I just wanted to see if the newer version was any bit better than the old version overall. And so I got to kind of play with this reel as of recently. I went on a recent Japan trip. Just an absolute fishing trip. There was nothing else that we did but just go fishing. I fished with this reel for 10 long days straight. And after fishing it for that long and then kind of coming back and feeling this reel and casting this around, my opinions on the new version of this is that yes, there is more and newer technology in the new version. Like they have an MGL spool. This is the third version of that spool, which helps in casting. You've got some different types of gearing in here to make the reeling smoothing, the casting smoothing. The startup on the cast is supposed to be a lot smoother on this reel because of the added technologies onto this new version of the Antares DC Monster Drive. However, the 2018 Monster Drive is still really good. I mean, these are going now for $350 to $400 if you can find them, and a lot of them are kind of new. This thing I've had since 2020, so I've had it now for almost 4 years. It did me really well. I caught a lot of fish on this reel. My casting felt really good on this reel. I never really had any issues at all with this reel, and it was absolutely fantastic. So my whole sole reason in getting the new one is that it was something newer. I wanted to see if it was actually a big difference in castability, and overall I just like the new look of the Antares DC Monster Drive. Now, the overall specs on both of these versions are very similar, if not completely the same. They both weigh 235 grams. They both have 6 kilograms of drag, which is about 13.25 pounds of drag. They both have kind of the same pickup. So there's not much that's different besides the new gearing that Shimano put in this version. And if that's a huge deal breaker for you, then absolutely pick up this reel. However, if you don't feel like that's a huge game changer for you, you can totally just pick up the 2018 version and you'd be very happy with this reel overall. You'll save a few $100, and it's just a really great reel still. So who does this reel cater to? Who is going to actually buy this reel? Now, the Monster Drive version of the Antares is basically meant for big fish, big lures, big line, and some pretty gnarly stuff that you're going to get into. This reel really is made for big game, big line, and stuff like that. And so this reel really caters to my style of fishing, which is throwing big swim baits. However, with these reels that I have found, and especially talking with other guys, if you're going to use this for throwing swim baits, there's almost kind of a sweet spot of the size of swim bait that you should throw on these reels before they start giving you problems. So for me, this Antares lives on basically one rod that I have, and that rod is a dedicated 2 to maybe 5 ounce swim bait rod, and I normally throw the DRT Clash 9 on this reel, and that's around 4 ounces. So this reel I find is really perfect for that 4 ounce size. If you're gonna go up to 6, 8, 10, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this reel because of a couple reasons. Is that it's a small, low profile reel overall. It feels like a It's not a 200 size reel, but it's not a 300 size reel. It's like a 250 size reel. So it feels pretty like solid in your hands, but I wouldn't go out and put it on an 8 foot, 8 foot 3, 8 foot 6, like double extra heavy rod. You can totally do that, but I find that since it's so light, it fits really tight and small in your hands. I like to put it on like a heavy to maybe a lighter, extra heavy swim bait rod, to where this reel isn't really designed for that bigger baits and that kind of wear and tear. It does have the monster drive gearing in it, but overall it's still on the smaller size. So like for example, for myself, I like to fish that 6, 8, 10 plus ounce baits on a true 300 or 400 size reel that has the much bigger gearings that can handle that size of bait over and over and over and over and over again. While this reel can absolutely do it, a lot of my friends that do that kind of stuff, they say that they absolutely destroy their reels within about a year or so. So I always tell them like the reel wasn't really designed for that super giant baits. Can it handle them? Yes, but only for a short amount of time, because you really should be throwing that size of bait on a much bigger size reel. So this reel really is perfect for a lighter rod, baits in that 2 to 5 ounce range, and this reel will last you forever. I mean, like I said before, I've had this reel now for almost 4 years, and it's still butter smooth. It still casts really well. I've only maybe resurfaced it myself maybe once or twice, and it still holds up today. But it's only because I've treated it as such. So that's kind of a huge thing with this reel, is that you're not going to get this reel to do every single lure. You're going to be doing it for that smaller size stuff all the way up to around 5 ounces, and this reel will last you forever. The cool thing about these reels is the technology. Obviously, everybody knows about the digital chip, the DC in it. It just allows you to have better casting accuracy, better casting distance, without having troubles with, backlashing or anything of that type of nature. And what I like about the Antares DC Monster Drive is here you can see, and what you can see is there's a dial here, and it has a few options that you can actually play with. And depending on what your main way of fishing the reel is going to be, you can change it from, they have a couple different options. Right now I have it on XB, which basically means extra big or big swim bait is what you're going to use that for. But you can also turn the dial, and they have an option for N, which is nylon, which is basically mono. Then you have P for PE line or braid, and then you have an option for just fluorocarbon. And so having those 4 options can really fine tune how this reel is able to cast, as well as just the standard normal dial on the side that you can change to. And once you find that sweet spot, I find that the reel really just does everything for you. I've maybe backlashed this reel maybe one time, and that was because of fresh line. Other than that, I'm able to cast that 4 ounce bait, that Clash 9, really accurate. Like that last trip to Japan, I was fishing basically solely the K9 a lot, and I'm able to get it into those tight spots, whether it's under a tree or down a dock or under a boat or here and there, and I'm able to accurately cast those baits, and I have complete control with this reel, which is really, really nice in those situations. Now they make 2 different gears. They make an HG and an XG. I always like the XG. The XG is the 7:8 to 1 gear ratio, the highest gear ratio that you can get in a monster drive, just so I can have that pickup when I'm fishing a glide bait, so I can easily just pick it up, get that bait to move side to side with very little effort overall. So for now, I am pretty happy with this reel overall, like I knew I was going to be. I do love Shimano's Antares DC Monster Drives. They've been absolutely solid for me for years and years and years. They get the job done, and if you treat them right, very, very low maintenance, and I think Shimano absolutely knocked that out of the park with this reel. But maybe I'll go over this reel again in another video in another year or so. So, and see if it still holds up, if I still have any problems with it. But overall, this reel has been absolutely fantastic. Expensive, but if you treat it right, it can last you a very long time, and you'd be very, very happy with a reel like this. So if you guys have any questions about this reel, let me know. If you guys have this reel and have experienced some issues with it, let me know with a comment down below. But other than that, badass reel. Good job, Shimano. And maybe I'll do a video like this with Daiwa. So let me know, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. And as always, go out there and chase your dreams.